This video is sponsored by MyHeritage, but more on that later. A new Tesla patent application recently dropped that I believe holds the key to finally allow Tesla to add silicon to their 4680 batteries, which would help them to deliver on a battery day promise and unleash huge gains in charging speed and energy density. I'm John, and this is Cleanerwatt. Here's a deal. Back in 2020, Tesla hyped silicon as the secret sauce for their next level 4680 battery anodes. But fast forward to today, and to the best of my knowledge, the latest 4680 cyber cells still don't contain silicon in their anodes. Why, you ask? Because silicon has a major catch. This stuff swells like crazy when fully charged, and accommodating for that is no easy feat. Most solutions out there, including Tesla's battery day pitch, zero in on particle level swelling of the silicon, but that's only half of the fight. The other half of the problem caused by this swelling occurs at the electrode jelly roll level and can cause damage to the separator, which ultimately can lead to battery failure. However, that's where I believe Tesla's new patent application comes in. While silicon is not specifically named in this document, the tech here tackles electrode level swelling damage on a scale that goes what I believe to be beyond what is necessary for a plain graphite anode. So my take is that this could be Tesla's secret for durable, faster charging, more energy dense 4680 batteries with silicon finally found in their anodes. However, before I move on, I recently partnered with MyHeritage to bring you this sponsored portion of today's video. I have done some genealogy research in the past, and knowing more about my ancestry is something that really fascinates me, especially as an adult. This is why I was really excited to partner with MyHeritage for this video. MyHeritage is a global family history platform that helps users build family trees, search billions of historical records, and explore their ancestry through their easy-to-use DNA testing kit. The MyHeritage DNA testing kit came in the mail, and I'm going to go ahead and get this sample ready and get it mailed off. So it comes with instructions, pretty simple, just activate it, go through the instructions here, and then mail the sample back, and then you can get your results. And when it comes to the results, I'm really looking forward to finding out more about my ethnic origins. I know a little bit about our Scottish background, but I'm looking forward to kind of filling in the gaps there and finding out the rest of the picture. Do be aware that MyHeritage has committed in their privacy policy to never license or sell genetic data. Okay, that was simple enough. I'm gonna go ahead and buy some postage for this and get this mailed off, and I can't wait to see the results. Okay, I recently received an email letting me know that my DNA results are in, so let's take a look at those together. So I am 32.7% English, 23.6% Scottish and Welsh, 13.7% Germanic, 8.5% Danish, and 21.5% of 4 or more ethnicities. So beyond the Danish, which we mentioned there, it looks like the other 4 are Breton, French, Dutch, and Irish. But beyond that, MyHeritage also offers DNA matches to help you find family you may not have known existed. For example, for me, they found 12,493 DNA matches, including my parents' cousins and even a second cousin of mine. So I'm really excited to actually have those percentages and know more about my ancestry and where my family comes from. And if you want to find out more about your ancestry with your own DNA testing kit, MyHeritage has a promotion right now. Click the link in the description box or scan the QR code and use the coupon code WATT, W-A-T-T, to receive a 10% discount when ordering the kit. Okay, now going back to the main topic of today's video, I'm going to dive into some of the details of that Tesla patent application, but I did want to mention a few specifics about the various generations of Tesla's 4680 batteries, specifically when it comes to the topic of silicon in the anode. The first generation 4680 batteries that were found in the 4680 equipped Model Y, according to research and tests that were done, the anodes of those batteries did not include any silicon. In between the first generation battery cell and the cyber cells, which I'm going to call those cyber cells their generation 2 4680, in between that, they made some changes to the battery cell can itself, and I'm going to call this a version 1.5 4680 battery cell. That particular battery, according to an analysis shared by @JamesMaw1109 on X, according to that analysis shared, the anode contained a very small amount, 0.014% by weight of silicon. This version 1.5 of Tesla's 4680 battery cell was found also in the structural battery pack 4680 equipped Model Y for a short period of time. However, when it comes to Tesla's second generation 4680 battery cell, or what they call their cyber cells, found in the Cybertruck, based on an analysis shared by the limiting factor on YouTube, those battery cells, at least at the time of the testing, did not include any silicon in the anode. However, if you go back to 2020 during Tesla's Battery Day presentation, Tesla made it very clear that they planned to add silicon to the anode of their 4680 batteries. Specifically, a 20% range increase was attributed to anode materials, and of course, a range increase translates over to an energy density increase. Tesla apparently planned to get most, if not all of this gain by adding a good amount of silicon to the anode. During that presentation, the issue of volume expansion by silicon was addressed at the particle level, and they discussed using an elastic ion-conducting polymer coating to help mitigate the damage caused by this swelling. However, once again, as best as we can tell, the current 4680 batteries found in the Cybertruck do not include silicon in the anode. With that being said, though, Tesla still has achieved energy density of those batteries on par with Panasonic's 2170 battery cells, as was made clear in this chart that was shared by Jordan, once again on the Limiting Factor YouTube channel in one of his videos, showing that, according to the analysis, Tesla's 4680 Gen 2 Cyber Cell had a nominal energy density of around 272 watt-hours per kilogram, as compared to the Panasonic 2170 battery cell, which has an estimated nominal energy density of 273 watt-hours per kilogram. So what Tesla has been able to do so far with the 4680 battery cell without added silicon to the anode is impressive. However, what will be the impact of adding just, for example, 5% of silicon to the anode? Well, once again, going back to an estimate that was done by Jordan on the limiting factor in one of his YouTube videos, he estimated that potentially a fourth generation 4680 battery cell with 5% silicon added to the anode could have an energy density of somewhere around 300 watt-hours per kilogram. This estimate could also include some cathode improvements and other cell design improvements, but nonetheless, you can see there is great potential by adding just a little bit of silicon to that anode. Beyond just energy density, though, when you add silicon to the anode, that can also help speed up charging speeds and also discharge speeds when it comes to performance, using these batteries in performance scenarios. However, when it comes once again to the reasons why Tesla hasn't added silicon to their 4680 batteries, I believe it comes down to the balance that they need to achieve with a performance battery cell that also lasts a long time. Adding silicon to a battery anode can shorten battery life unless the cell is properly engineered. And apparently Tesla has been working on that engineering. Now at Battery Day, Tesla did address a possible solution to handling the particle level swelling of silicon that can wreak havoc on a battery cell during cycling. But I believe that this new Tesla patent application is the second piece of the puzzle that could allow Tesla to add once again around 5% or so of silicon to their 4680 anodes and tackle the electrode level swelling damage that could result from silicon. First of all, let's start with the problem mentioned here. So specifically, it states, quote, energy storage devices are affected by component mechanical failures which cause cell and or product failure. In some instances, the edges and or corners of an electrode concentrate mechanical stresses, which may be exacerbated by reversible and irreversible electrode volume expansion or swelling from charging and cell aging. Such mechanical stress concentration may lead to component mechanical failures, such as separator mechanical failure, example, wear out, overloading, fatigue, creep, etc., that can cause internal short circuiting. As such, minimization of such stresses in an energy storage device may be advantageous. Now, the way that Tesla actually builds around this potential for electrode damage is they actually taper the electrode itself. So as is described here, there's actually a reduction in the thickness from one end of the electrode to the other, which, quote, may aid in reducing component stresses within an energy storage device, therefore preventing separator failure and/or internal short circuiting. Now, when it comes to an actual description of what happens in the battery with that swelling that actually causes this damage, it looks like the swelling leads to an impingement in the electrode jelly roll, and by tapering the electrode, this is supposed to prevent this impingement from happening. Now, when it comes to the definition of impingement, I looked that up, and that's simply an intrusion into an area belonging to or affecting someone or something else. So basically, the swelling can cause a little bit of a buckling, and one portion of that electrode can actually kind of poke into the other portion of the electrode in that jelly roll, and that can cause damage to the separator, which of course would cause a short circuit if the anode and the cathode no longer had a separator in between it, if that got broken. Specifically here it's written, quote, "The stress points within the jelly roll and its constituent components, example electrodes, may cause impingement areas and/or a local buckling area of the anode, which may ultimately cause an internal short circuit from separator mechanical failure and subsequently cell and/or product failure." When it comes to the test results with these tapered electrodes, it's mentioned here, quote, "Figures 18A, 18B, and 18C are simulated horizontal cross-sectional illustration of a jelly roll with a tapered cathode electrode with anode swellings of 6%, 12%, and 18% respectively." What's really important to note here is that, quote, "Modeled jelly rolls without tapered electrode showed visible impingement at swelling of 6%, as demonstrated in figure 17A. While jelly rolls with a tapered cathode electrode did not show visible impingement at an anode swelling of 18%, as demonstrated in figure 18C. Now, just with standard graphite in a typical battery cell, more than 10% swelling can be seen. So this design would be beneficial for even a standard graphite battery. And it looks like if that's not designed for in a battery cell, even just a standard battery cell may see some impingement happen based on just the swelling of natural graphite. Beyond that, though, as it's written here, if you increase the taper depth ratios, quote, "the anode bending angle is significantly reduced." And when it comes to those results, it's mentioned, simulated jelly rolls with a taper depth of 45% and 70% show significantly reduced anode bending angles compared to the baseline jelly roll without a tapered cathode electrode at swelling of even 20%. So with the increased taper depth ratios, it looks like even at 20% swelling, this technology helps mitigate the damage that would normally be caused by that much swelling. Now, I want to specifically focus in on that 20% anode swelling number that's mentioned here. Based on my research, it looks like a properly designed graphite anode without silicon in it would ordinarily swell by somewhere around 10%. It looks like you can find some that are less, some are more, but the typical graphite anode that's properly designed is probably going to swell by around 10%. So why is 20% mentioned in this patent application? I believe the answer is to allow for extra swelling caused by adding silicon to the anode. Now, if you just had a 100% silicon anode that was not engineered to mitigate swelling, that anode could swell somewhere around the 300% range. However, it looks like a properly designed composite anode with the majority of that anode being made of graphite, but with some silicon, it looks like it's very possible to keep that swelling below 20%. I say this because in my research, I found a 2019 scientific article that was published on nature.com. And in this paper, a 93.7% graphite and 6.3% silicon composite anode with what they described as macro-pore coordinated graphite silicon, also referred to in this paper as MGS, after 100 cycles only exhibited 19% swelling. I will link to this paper in the video description below if you're curious to read more of the technical details, because I don't have time to dive into those here in this particular video. But suffice it to say, a 95% graphite, 5% silicon anode could very well have swelling under 20% if properly designed. Now, since silicon is not specifically mentioned in this Tesla patent application, it's possible that this is just for graphite anodes, 100% graphite anodes. But I believe that this technology was specifically developed to help mitigate the damage that would be caused by increased swelling by adding silicon to the battery anodes. So I believe that this technology is once again a key piece of what will allow Tesla to add somewhere around 5% silicon into their next generation 4680 batteries. However, I would like to know what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you believe this technology is related to Tesla adding silicon to the future generation of their 4680 battery cells? I also want to say thanks again to MyHeritage for sponsoring this video. To order your own DNA testing kit, click the link in the description box or scan the QR code and use the coupon code WATT, W-A-T-T, to receive a 10% discount when ordering the kit. I also want to say thank you to all of those of you who support me through Patreon. Your support makes a big difference and does help make these videos possible. If you'd like to find out more about how you can support my work through Patreon, I will put a link in the video description. Thank you so much.